What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Super Mega League Baseball preseason prediction show, where Andrew and myself are going to be spewing garbage about where we think these teams will finish in their divisions, as well as our early picks for the end of season awards. Andrew, how are you doing?
I'm telling you, I'm feeling great. I think that right here I've got the exact picks for what you're going to want to choose in your fantasy leagues for this upcoming season. I've been inside with a lot of the players and the coaches, and I think that we've got some fantastic choices here.
You really put that press pass you used in spring training.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. I mean, you didn't have to flex that you got that for me, but that's okay.
Hey, man, I'm not saying we don't got no funding. All right, let's jump right into it. We will be going through each division one by one. The worst team, sixth place, all the way up to the best team in first place. We'll both give our predictions, and we'll talk about where we think all these teams are going to end up at the end of the year. Andrew, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get right to it. We're going to start with the Air division. My sixth place team is going to be the Fellers. So they've got a mediocre lineup, mediocre depth, mediocre pitching. They're just not a good team. There's not much to salvage for the Fellers this year, and they're probably looking for a full rebuild sooner rather than later. Andrew, what is your sixth place team going to be looking like, the Air division?
In sixth place, I've got the Vipers. Looking at the lineup for them, we're looking at a weak, very, very weak bullpen, and not so great on the field either. Now, the thing that's looking up for them that could change this is they have a lot of positive attributes. I mean, we're talking RBI man, low pitch, contact versus right-handed pitcher, utility. They could make something happen, but it's really going to be situational for them.
Definitely a situational team. I agree there.
And not to mention, they've got Lennon McShadles, probably the worst starting pitcher in the whole league, with 11 velocity and already at 26 years of age. You don't want that in your starting rotation. You're losing one out of every 4 games if you're this team.
He's probably not getting much better at 26 either.
No, absolutely not.
All right, let's keep the positivity rolling. Andrew, what's your number 5 team?
My number 5 team is going to be the Fellers.
All right.
The Fellers, I mean, you've touched on it, but they've got some big issues. And not to mention, they've got probably another one of the worst starting pitchers in the whole league.
Don't do Quick Blanco like that.
Quick Blanco might finish 3 innings this year. Quick Blanco he's soft tossing it from the mound. I mean, it is rough. It's gonna be tough for this team, and they're not. It was tough putting them above the Vipers, but they've got a little more pop in the bat.
I respect that. Quick Blanco is essentially a slow pitch softball pitcher.
It's true. I don't know what he's doing in this league, but we'll see. Maybe maybe they'll work on it. He's 35. Never mind. It's over for his career's done. Career's done. This is his last season.
We see a little eye to eye here. At fifth place, I've got the Vipers. So we know who the 2 worst teams are.
Yeah.
The Vipers, they've got no pitching. They have nothing. It really keeps them from reaching their limits. The front end talent's there. Bohr Cunningham, Meadow Hodge, Yellington Castillo, those are 3 good players. But they're getting old. Bohr Cunningham's 38, Meadow Hodge is 33. Their window is gonna close before it's really even open.
It is that veteran, they could take their team far. All it takes is one good run to the playoffs. But yeah, then again, you're not gonna. You got to be scoring. Bohr Cunningham, or are you putting up 45 RBIs a game if he's gonna make up for fucking Jay Walton and Lennon McShadles in the bullpen?
It's true. Without picking up some pitchers, the Vipers they're just not gonna be good. Anything can happen in the playoffs, but they're not even sniffing it with the team they have right now.
No, they're not making it. They can't even. Yeah, they're not winning games. Can't make it to the playoffs if you're not winning games.
It's true. All right, we're moving along. Number 4 spot for me, and this might be contentious for you. I know you're a big fan, but I'm putting the Clowns at number 4.
No, if I'm being realistic, not to spoil, but I've got the Clowns the same spot.
All right, let's talk about it. I think they've got a consistently decent lineup, but they've got a volatile pitching staff. I mean, they've got Betty McCarty, she's good. Graham Jordan and Alvin Ortega are okay, but their bullpen's not great, and Marcus Cruz could let you down,
Yeah. Yeah, Rig Showy is actually he's like a bit pitcher. It's like for the clown act. Like he rigs he goes up to
Yeah,
the mound, he trips on a
he's
banana peel and slams his
exactly,
face in a cream pie when he lands off the mound.
exactly.
So
Like they don't even have a closer. Like what's
no,
going on back there?
no, he's the closer. He's not a closer though, because he's
No.
literally a clown.
I mean, could they go nuts with the top of their lineup and win like 80% of their games? Maybe, but
Absolutely. I mean, they're gonna be yamming on the bats.
it's
There's
true.
no question.
A lot of power and a lot of contact in their hitter spots. No question.
And you've got Eternity Dubs behind the plate, which
Eternity
I mean,
Dubs
that's-
calls a clean game.
yeah, the Eternity Dubs calls a clean game, and she's got a cannon in the back of the field. So you're not
Yeah.
getting any bases on the clowns, that's for sure. I
It's-
think what separates this team from 5th and 6th place in this division is just their ability to hit the ball compared to the other teams, and the bullpen isn't quite as horrendous.
It's not horrendous. Their starting pitchers are okay. They'll get the job done. They're not going to go crazy or anything, but they're fine. If
Closing
they,
games are gonna be tough.
it's
for the
true.
Clowns.
If they outperform their expectations, they could sneak into the top half of this division. But I don't think I see it happening.
Yeah, getting third is probably their limit this year. We'll see, unless
So
they
it's-
surprise us.
It's a long season, and we got
It's
a lot of
young
years
team.
ahead of us.
It's
It is a young team.
It's a young team.
A lot of players in their prime. A lot of players coming into their prime. They can build
Lot of-
around that.
A lot of young clowns. I don't know how they got a bunch of kids to sign onto the team named the Clowns, but
Yeah, Clown College started early this year,
they made
apparently.
it, they made it happen.
All right, we're at the top half of the air division now. Andrew, who do you got in the number 3 spot?
The number 3 spot in the air division, I have the Reapers.
I agree.
Wow, yeah, wow, we are just killing it out here. Now the Reapers, I mean, they're just overall a solid team. Again, with a lot of utility on their positive attributes. I mean, they're just tough at the plate. They're tough to get out, and they really don't have any faults in the field, which is big because there's a few teams that we're gonna go through that are gonna have players with like less than 20 fielding, and
Yeah,
that ruins games. I mean, that's how you throw a season.
it's true. You take a pitcher who gets a lot of soft contact, and you start turning those into infield singles, and things are gonna go wrong in a hurry.
And I'll say that the reason that these guys are sitting at third, not second or first, is mostly their mediocre but reliable bullpen.
It's true. They don't have any stinkers on the pitching staff, but they don't
No.
have any aces either.
No, it's a B bullpen.
It
B
all
for
around it
bullpen
is.
over there.
B for bullpen. Yeah, I agree completely. Their pitching staff is average, and that could limit them from reaching their potential. But they've got some studs in the lineup, and
Absolutely.
they've got valuable platoon players too. There's a lot of guys who play a lot of positions on the diamond that could contribute coming off the bench, and I think that would keep them in the mix. I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying they're definitely not making the playoffs. They could sneak into the number 2 spot, but I have them 3 right now.
Yeah, all I'm saying is they better clutch up their games against the Clowns.
You can't be dropping games to the Clowns if you're trying to
Yeah.
make the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely not.
All right,
Matt, where are we sitting at number 2 for the air division?
number 2. I have a feeling we've been kind of eye to eye here, and I think we're gonna continue, but I could be wrong. I've got the Mandibles at number 2.
Wow. Okay, this is where we're gonna part. This is where we're gonna split.
All right,
At
we're
the
split.
bottom and at the top, we're slightly split.
All right, so you've got the Seaman at number 2 then.
I've got the Seaman at number 2. Let's talk
All
about
right.
the Mandibles in your number 2 pick first, though.
All right, yeah. So the reason I got the Mandibles at number 2, they've got an all-around good rotation and a good bullpen. They've got a couple guys who are really going to contribute, and they don't have anybody who's going to hold them back on the pitching staff. They should have a strong season, but I feel like they don't have the talent on the bench to make an impact late in the game as much as the Seamen are capable of doing. If they could pick up some depth pieces, that could make the race a little tighter. But I mean, players like Leon Worrymore, excuse me, are really carrying this offense. And if they don't have some contributors late in the season, then they might stall out. But their pitching staff is just good enough, I think, to get them to the playoffs either way.
Yeah, I think they have a good balance, the Mandibles, of contact and power, where they can hit some contact hitters on base and then cash them in with those power hitters. And their bullpen, I mean, it's not the most stunning thing in the world, but they do have some winners on there. They got
It's
some
true.
guys that are gonna be tough to get through.
It's true.
And even their players that look underwhelming. For example, they have 2 catchers that really just they're only two catchers, and they look not great on paper. But when you look at the stats that matter, like their arm, they're throwing it.
It's true.
Their backup catcher's got a 96 arm.
It's
Grady
true.
Bango. I mean, he's gonna be gunning you out.
Most teams don't expect a lot of offense out of the catcher.
And I feel like they're getting with their speed stat, their average speed stat, lowest being 47, probably average around like 70. They're getting on base.
It's true.
And that's what's going to be important. They're getting on base for Leon Worrymore to fucking hit grand slams.
Don't get me wrong. This is a good team. How do you feel the Seamen stack up, and why did you put them at the 2 spot?
So I think the versatility of the Seamen. I mean, their power in their lineup is nuts.
It's crazy. I gotta agree.
But they suffer in the field, in a few spots. I mean, they're rocking 40s, 50s, so 39s and 28s towards the bottom of the lineup. On their solo first baseman, actually at a 37 fielding at first base. I mean, he could be dropping balls throughout the season.
That's true, and you really don't want that. Having a guy beat out a throw at first because you drop it is just really detrimental.
I think the edge that the Mandibles have in the bullpen, just slightly over the Seamen, is what made me choose them for first place over the Seamen. I think that it could be. I mean, this division is a tough one. This is a real toss-up division, but
it is. I get where you're coming from. The Seamen definitely have a worse bullpen. That's just true. But
Hoots Barnstormer is goated. I can't deny that.
It's true.
The Seamen are dangerous with that man sitting on their team.
At only 20 years old, he's a stud.
Yeah, he's absolutely. I mean, he's crazy.
The starting rotation for the Seamen is really good, and the top of their lineup, from Hoots Barnstormer down to Elizabeth Moran even, are going to be key contributors, and I just feel like their offense is going to be more consistent and more valuable than the Mandibles or the Reapers, and that's going to put them at the top of this division.
Yeah, I think it's really going to come down to, are they going to field the ball?
That's true.
Are they gonna field the ball well? Because if they're not fielding the ball well, and the Mandibles are kind of having an okay game, and it's like a division matchup, I just don't see them winning. Because the Mandibles are probably hitting the ball just slightly worse than them, with better pitching. So it's gonna be, I don't know, it's gonna be interesting to see where this division ends up. But I'm glad we have the clear winners and the clear losers.
Yeah, we definitely have a top 2 and a bottom 4.
Yeah, that's for sure. The Reapers could make it happen.
They could sneak in there. The top 3, it's a toss up. I think the Seamen and the Mandibles are better, but if the Reapers sneak into that playoff spot at number 2, I'm not going to complain.
And as for the bottom 3, I think the Clowns are clearly better than the Fellers and the Vipers, but
absolutely
still have a ways to go.
Definitely
to compete with the Seamen or the Mandibles.
Absolutely. All right, we've got our Air Division rankings done and dusted. Let's move on to the Earth Division.
Really quick, let me hit you with the worst players on each of those teams real fast.
Oh, please. I would love to hear it. Who are we booing this year?
So we've already hit Lennon McShadles, who's the worst starting pitcher absolutely the worst starting pitcher in the league for the Vipers. Briefly talked about that. We talked about Quick Blanco, who will not finish. His ERA is going to be horrendous. They're pulling him out. He might finish 3 innings this year total. We hit the Clowns. I didn't get to talk about Casey McFurlow. They strictly keep this guy around for the aesthetic. He's a clown at the plate. I mean, we talked about shows. God damn it, who's their closer? Hold on.
Rig Showy.
Rig Showy. We talked about Rig Showy. How he's rigging every game. Casey McFurlow, he's rigging it at the plate. It's bad.
He does swing a bit of a wet noodle at the plate.
Absolutely. Now we're heading over to the Reapers. We're hitting Aries Snyder. Now Aries Snyder is probably the Reapers have an okay team. Not a whole lot of players to point out as being bad. She's just underwhelming in the hot corner. She's their starting third baseman, averaging stats around 50, sitting at 38 years old. I mean, realistically, she's going to be a player that is going to get injured a lot. You're going to be looking for them to swap out players because of her. So that's my worst player on the Reapers this year.
Fair enough.
Heading over to the Seamen, my number 2 pick, we've got Tater Castanita, and he's just not clutch. I mean, the Seamen have good players on their team. Tater is just not. He's just not a clutch player.
A closer who can't get strikeouts is not going to get the job done.
Yeah, he's just not clutch at 27. I mean, if you're not finding the strike zone as a closer, it's going to be rough for you.
True.
And then going up to the Mandibles, we've got Crispy Riley as their worst player.
Wow.
Now, even you might be saying Crispy Riley is their worst player. What the hell are you on about? This dude's a B+ player.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, but overall, he's the second best player on their team, and his stats really, I mean, he's at the plate, he's an average player. I mean, in the field, he's a liability at best at age 29. So it was hard to choose somebody on the Mandibles who was really just awful, that wasn't just on their bench.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy, I think he's overrated.
I think he's overrated. I respect that. Playing left field, they clearly are trying to minimize his lack of a glove, but
right.
I mean, I gotta agree. For being the second best player on such a good team, his stats aren't great.
No, he's kind of a liability.
All right, jot that down, everybody, for your fantasy teams. Those players, you don't want them.
Yeah,
they're not. It's not happening.
Nope.
All right, we've wrapped up the Air division. Let's talk about the Earth division. Get our rankings, and then Andrew will give his worst players.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it. Andrew, who do you got in the number 6 spot?
Number 6 spot in the Earth division, I've got the Drakens.
All right.
Draken these balls, if you will.
Of course, yeah.
These guys are just, I mean, they just don't have the greatest stats in the world. No power on the bats, which is going to be tough because their bullpen probably isn't, locking down games. I mean, it's not the worst bullpen in the world, but their starting bullpen isn't incredible. I mean, they have 5 starting pitchers, which is something you don't see a lot.
It's true.
In the league. 5 starting pitchers is going to come in handy, especially later into the season.
Mm-hmm. As guys get tired, get worn out, it's good to have that extra arm that can go a few innings.
Absolutely, but they're just not going to be scoring runs. I just don't see them getting anywhere in this division.
Yeah, I gotta agree there. My 6th place team, I've actually got a combo here. So 6th and 5th, I've got the Drakens and the Sigmas. They're so similar for me. It's impossible to say who's better. But what I can say is they're both worse than everyone else in this division. They've got no star power. They've got decent players that could make an impact, but not enough to make waves in this Earth division, which has some heavy hitters.
Yeah, I have to agree.
You got the Sigmas at 5 as well?
I've got the Sigmas at 5. Yeah, I've got the Sigmas at 5 for most of the same reasons. I mean, their stats overall are underwhelming. The power on their bat isn't as bad, which is why I had them at 5 and not 6. I mean, yeah. They can hit the ball a little better. Their bullpen's similar. They don't have that 5 starting pitcher bonus on them, but I mean, they really don't have any big losers in the bullpen, which is kind of a big deal. Their team on average isn't that terrible, but if you don't have any standouts, you're just not going to do well in this league. It's just going to be tough to. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a grind for the Sigmas. They're going to have to get on their grind set.
That's true. They need the Sigma male grind set to make a wave here.
There's no question.
With no standout players in a league like this, just gets you left behind.
Yep, that's true.
That's just the truth of it.
Nunez is going to have to be slamming home runs. That's all I have to say. If they want a chance at winning this division.
I agree. All right, Andrew, who do you got in the number 4 spot?
The number 4 slot, I've got the Swarm.
The Swarm.
Yes.
Wow.
Now I know you probably had that. I know that they're a pretty nice looking team, but
enlighten me.
Now I think they're lacking in a few key positions.
Okay.
The left fielder, left fielder, right fielder. They have a lot of outfield options to choose from. A lot of replacements. None of them really great in the field. I mean, their top 4 players have below 40 fielding, which, I mean, you could say that's an outfield. Does it really matter? But when you're making those plays to stop a triple, it's gonna come up.
That's fair. That's fair.
2 of their players, even though they have great speed, are rocking bad jumps. So the speed that they have isn't really getting put to use. So it kind of makes those players seem a little bit less attractive. You're looking at that 4A lineup, and you're like, those guys are great, but you break the numbers down, and maybe they're not as good as you think. They're fantastic at the plate. They could easily be in the number 3 slot in this division. I mostly put them at 4 because of their bad fielding, their mediocre arms at some positions. You could say it doesn't really matter at first or second. but they've got a catcher with just one of the worst arms in the league. And that's gonna be starting for them. Who's also an outfielder. They have a lot of outfielders. I mean, they're not filling a whole lot of positions. They also have possibly the worst second baseman in the whole league, and it's their only second baseman, at Rex Peterson. And you can skip. We're skipping him on the way back up on the worst players because I'm gonna hit him now. This is a big hole in their team. I mean, your second baseman gets injured at age 34, and it's just over for you.
They have absolutely no one capable of backing him up.
They've nobody, and everybody on their team has mediocre fielding. So whoever they put in there to replace them is going to have even. Rex actually is the best fielding on their team, which is insane. He's a dinosaur. This team, I don't think they have what it takes to go far.
Fair enough. I think this is the first time we really disagree on a team. And
Okay.
We'll circle back when we get to the Swarm in my rankings. But at number 4, I have the Nocturnals.
Wow. Okay.
So the Nocturnals they're top heavy, but they're also below average. And I think that's true of their hitters and their pitchers. They've got a few talented players like Jalen Reed at the top of their lineup, Lawrence Reynolds and Franco Turnbull in their rotation. And everyone else on their team's just not great, at least in my opinion. The individual brilliance from these good players could see them winning their fair share of games, but I don't think there's enough depth on this team to make a meaningful run, and I think they're going to get left behind in this division.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair takes. Fair takes. It's definitely a team that has a lot of peaks and valleys. It's an interesting stat sheet to look at for this team for sure.
I think it's possible they make some waves, but if things go south this season, they're going to look to bring in a manager who can mold this lineup to be a little more balanced than it is now.
Yeah, it's definitely a volatile team, and that's why I think you'll be surprised with where I place them when we get there.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going up to number 3 now, right?
Number 3.
Do you want to hit with number 3 pick, Matt? What's your who you guys sitting up there?
My number 3, starting the top half of this division, is going to be the Ballpark Franks.
Wow, all right, we agree there. I've got the Ballpark Franks sitting at 3 as well.
Mm-hmm. You would want a stronger rotation from the Franks. They don't really have any killers. I'm going with Kathy. Kathy Rios is all right, but she's a long reliever, so she's not going to be good for a lot of innings. They could pick some arms up in free agency, but the talent in their lineup should offset that part of the game. And their bullpen is pretty good. They've got no bad players, and they've got a great reliever in Dante Mastiff. If they can shore up a few holes over the season, they could find themselves sneaking into the playoffs, but I've got them at 3 right now.
Yeah, they're a little bit of a struggler at the plate based on just what we're looking at on the stats page. I mean, the contact's not really all there, and you could say that a 50 contact isn't that bad in this league, but when most of your lineups rocking below 50, slightly below 50, it's going to be tough to, get guys on base, utilize that power that you have in the bat. But their bullpen is good. They have a lot of utility traits, just a lot of RBIs, a lot of things they can do versus left or right-handed pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this is a team with a lot of, like you said, a lot of utility. They could be molded into something pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if they fix up the pitching staff, I think this team looks a lot scarier. But with the way their starters are, they're gonna have to put up some runs. And I kind of agree with you. This league values hitting more than pitching, I'd say. And when your hitters can't make contact at the same rate everyone else can, you're going to struggle to score runs and to outpace the hitters who are almost certainly shelling your starters.
Yeah, no question. They're going to be anticipating every other pitch.
All right. We've made it to the playoff spots for the Earth Division. Number 2, who do you got?
Number 2, I've got the Rising Grinders.
Yep.
The Rising Grind. Wow, so we really had 1 and 4 swap.
We did. It's kind of crazy.
All right. So the Rising Grinders are they are quite literally the definition of a B team. I mean, they have
that lineup.
Good above average stats. They're talking in the hitting department, in the fielding department, they're pretty decent. They've got a few 30s, but mostly in positions that can get away with it. Really, I mean, the worst position they have for fielding is that third baseman, River Peppers, with 33.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the hot corner. The corners for them are going to be a little bit of a struggle. But we'll see how they get through that. Their bullpen is it's solid. I mean, it's a brick wall.
Yeah.
it's going to be tough to break through them, and they're going to be hitting. Eventually they're going to break through your pitchers with the bats that they have. So really, it's going to come down to how they do in the field. I think compared to some other teams, they do well in the field. They can get the job done.
Yeah, they do all right for sure. They've really got no weak spots, I'd say. Their rotation's decent and their bullpen's good.
Yeah.
They should be able to fend off the teams below them who have some obvious issues. But the Rising Grinders they're good. They're in for a long season and they're gonna need to grind. The bottom 5 teams in this division, I think, could all be in the mix late, but I think it's the Grinders who are gonna come out and get that second playoff spot.
Yeah, I think the Grinders they're gonna be grinding out wins this season.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see them not making it to the top of this division.
Talk about a team with an identity, right?
All right, absolutely.
And here,
our number 1. So
here it is.
I'll let you talk about the Swarm. Finish up the thoughts that you had on them, since I've already given my thoughts.
I would love to talk about the Swarm, and not to spoil anything later, but B. Armhorn and Lorelei Flores they're good players. They're really good. They've got a top-heavy lineup, but not in the same way some of the other teams, like I think the Nocturnals. They've got a top-heavy lineup, but their depth is better, in my opinion. And frankly, their pitching staff is very good. Vale McCormick isn't blowing anybody's socks off, but the rest of those pitchers are high-quality pitchers.
Right. Even with the negative traits, they're still pretty solid.
Yes, and they sport a lot of youth too, especially in the bullpen. They've got 3 bullpen pitchers and a starter in their 20 and 2 starters in their 20s even. These guys are poised to be good for a long time, I think. They're going to get better, and I think B. Armhorn is one of, if not the best players in the league, and the leadership she provides, along with Lorelei Flores, possibly on a retirement tour at 42 years old and still with maxed out speed, is crazy. I think this team can do it all.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, you've heard my thoughts on the Swarm.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the Nocturnals.
Let me hit you with why I think the Nocturnals are going places. We talked about this being a volatile team.
Yeah.
Peaks and valleys.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in this league, it's all it takes is one big inning, and they've got guys that can swing the bat and the guys that can't swing the bat hard are getting on base at 96 contact or 67 contact. Just good hitters with the fielding that is a little bit more consistent than what we're seeing on other teams in this division.
It's true.
And again, somebody in the bullpen, they got one or two people in the bullpen that aren't very spectacular, but a closer who can get the job done with some decent stats, and he's not bad on the base path.
He's quick.
He's a little bit of a fast guy.
That's crazy.
And the starting pitchers, I mean, they're really pretty solid as well. I mean, Lawrence Reynolds and Franco Turnbull are going to win them some games, no question.
Yeah.
I think that with this kind of volatility and like the peaks and valleys they have a chance of going places in this division.
I see where you're coming from. I think where we differ is the Nocturnals do have kind of a clear peaks and valleys, but you value their peaks more than I value the kind of steadiness that's behind the top of the Swarm's lineups,
right.
And that's where we kind of split them up. I think the Nocturnals' weaknesses will hinder them, and you think their strengths are going to push them over the top, and I think it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Although otherwise, in this division, pretty even shakeout from us.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that we had everything exactly the same except for 1 and 4.
Yeah, yeah, a little strange.
All right, Andrew, the floor is yours. Who we taking off the fantasy team this year?
All right, so let me just make sure I got my papers arranged here on my desk.
Of course,
really quick. Okay, so sitting at number 6 on the Drakens, you've got Blake Peck, and if you're looking at Blake Peck, starting pitcher, he's a C-rank player. This guy is just, you don't want to give him the start. I mean, he's a 19-year-old young buck. He's not really even that talented. It's kind of crazy how he even got onto the team. He had to be incredibly cheap. They must be paying him peanuts because this guy he has no talent. As a 19-year-old kid, I don't understand why you pull him onto the team unless his contract is just worth nothing to you. So Blake Peck you don't want him. I mean, you hate to see him if you're a Drakens fan. You don't want
Man.
to see him on the field.
For a 19-year-old who could improve, that's harsh.
Well, I mean, listen, we'll see where he goes in the future, but as of right now, he looks like a no talent loser. And you can quote me on that, like I'm Stephen A. Smith or some shit, because he's looking rough.
All right, we'll keep that in the memory banks.
Moving over to Sigmas, so you got Mohamed Nunez, and this guy's, don't get me wrong, this guy is a threat on the plate. Okay, this guy is a goddamn.
He swings a bat,
but he's gonna let balls get past him in right field. This guy's a triple factory. Okay, people are gonna be blasting the ball to right field trying to get Mohamed Nunez to miss it, and they're gonna be scoring triples on him all day. This is obviously, I mean, he's got an arm to back it up, so it's not all downhill for him.
Yep.
But it's definitely gonna be an uphill battle for him in the field. So be on the lookout for that. The Sigmas, I mean, they really don't have a whole lot of players that are that awful. So it was a light pick out of that team.
It's true. Not a lot of terrible players, not a lot of great players.
Great players, exactly. Now heading over to my number 4 pick, the Swarm.
Right.
Rex Peterson. We don't even need to say anymore. Just Rex Peterson.
Rex Peterson.
So no. He's just God.
We don't need to hurt his feelings. Moving on.
Over to the ballpark, Franks.
Please.
Now we're looking at Lindsey Jeterson, one of their starting pitchers, a C- player. She just can't find the plate, and that's it's gonna be tough to win games when she's putting people on base because you can't find the plate, walking people. They're scoring runs. It's gonna be tough for the ballpark Franks, who are already in a tough division, sitting at what we think is a pretty solid 3rd place. So
it's true.
They really can't afford to have her on the mound.
I mean, 87 junk on Lindsey Jeterson with 10 accuracy.
Seriously?
Where's the curveball going? She doesn't know where the curveball's going.
She's literally just throwing the ball and hoping it goes over the plate. All right, moving over to the Rising Grinders.
Yeah.
For that, I've got Brantley Ocean at first base. Now he's going to be dropping balls. It's just the way it is when you have 27 fielding at first base.
Yeah.
Stuff's going to happen. You're going to drop balls, and you're going to give up important outs when you need them. When it's 2 outs and you need the out at first, and Brantley Ocean is dropping the ball, you're gonna be screaming his name. Yeah, too many of those.
First baseman dropping the ball tend to live on in the history of baseball. You don't want to be that guy, Brantley.
No, you really don't. And you don't want to pick him if you're playing fantasy.
Yeah, Billy Buckner called. Right. They still know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Billy Buckner. Yeah, he can't show his face at the Dunkin' Donuts. It's rough. Moving over to the Nocturnals, who I've got as my first place team. Nico Rossi, who is just going to get absolutely fucking rocked with 15 velocity and 18 accuracy. It's just going to be really, really rough.
Mm-hmm. It's like when your dad used to throw to you on your Little League baseball team. Not throwing it hard, but you got no idea where it's going.
Yeah, and he's just trying to throw a curveball because he wants to mess with you. So that's why he's got 66 junk on it.
Yeah, he's spinning a 12-6 in. You're like 8 years old.
Yeah, and he's like, check this out. It's ice floats in college, son.
And it hits you in the top of the head.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you do with that?
That's what you're dealing with, the C- pitcher on the Nocturnals. All right, and that's the worst players of the Earth Division.
All right, stay away. Get them off your fantasy team.
Don't want them out. Yeah, and if you see them in the field and you're cheering for that team, just send out a little prayer.
Mm-hmm. A Hail Mary.
Yep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, next up, we're moving over to the Mega Conference, and we're taking a peek at the Fire Division. 6th place, starting off hot. I'm going with the Shinobi.
Wow
is right. We're going to have some disagreements, I can already tell. So, the Shinobi, I know we disagree. Let me say my piece real quick. They've got no weaknesses, I'd say, but they don't have any true strength. They don't have any ballers who are gonna change the game. They don't have any gamers. They lack the studs to fall back on in the lineup when the rest of the team can't produce, and they have more all-around talent than 1 or 2 teams in this division, but I don't think that they can make up the lack of difference makers that this team has.
We'll come back around, but I can see where you're coming from, just from their lack of traits.
Mm-hmm.
But this reminds me of, a team might know very well, your own personal SMLB team in your own league. This reminds me of them in a way.
Wow.
In the way that their team is set up.
It's high. It's high praise.
Yeah. So, and if you're, if you know, but this team's looking pretty solid. I will say. We'll come back to how I think about the Shinobi.
If you think they're solid, who do you got in the 6th spot?
My number 6 spot, I've got the Monarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Now these guys are just floundering on some spots all over the field, and it's looking tough at the plate for them just in general. They've got high contact hitters, and Ivor Musto might be one of the best players. He's like a Derek Jeter type.
He's honestly nuts.
He's kind of one of the greatest players to ever grace the field. So when you're looking at that, it's kind of hard to put them at 6th, but he really has no support, and he's got a bullpen that is good in the relievers, but his starters are underwhelming. And I just don't think that, speaking from Ivor Musto's perspective, I just don't think that this team's going to have what it takes to back me up and get me this win for the World Series.
I mean, if you take a look at this team, I get where you're coming from. Perhaps if baseball existed in real life, a man by the name of Mike Trout might be in a similar situation. His team is just simply terrible every year, but he's the greatest to ever do it.
Yes, that's how Ivor's feeling. There's no doubt in my mind.
Mm-hmm. All right. See, I don't entirely agree with Monarchy at 6, but I see where you're coming from, and I'm not high on them either. So we'll get to that when we get to that. Who do you got in the 5 spot?
My number 5 slot, I've got Orion. Now, you might be saying, that's kind of crazy considering their bullpen. They have pretty decent relievers, pretty good starters, all around not bad on the plate with above 60 power all around. The arms just aren't really there. I mean, you're going to be running on this team if you're hitting the ball into the field. You're going to be getting extra bases. You're going to be beating throws at second, and they're all around just underwhelming on the defensive side. Although they are somewhat impressive on the plate.
I'm shocked personally.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. We evaluated this team completely differently. You couldn't see my reaction, but I'm simply awestruck at the Orion in 5th place. It's blowing my mind. We'll talk more about it, but I gotta say, we do not see eye to eye here.
Yeah. I mean, I will say they have a killer bullpen. I can't deny that. I think that this is one of the strongest divisions in the whole league, though. So I think this is the strongest division in the league.
I would not disagree with that.
Orion at 5 is it's up for debate for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is more true than any other division in the league, and I think our rankings, I have a feeling they're going to be very different, top to bottom. Means really anyone could be 1 through 6.
Another thing about Orion is that sure they got power in the bat, and they've got some decent contact in the bat, but they don't got the power in the bat only a couple of their players have power to hit home runs, really. They are going to be hitting the ball. I can't deny that. But the middle and the end half of their lineup isn't going to be as glamorous as those Dave Stone, Mario Burr type hitters.
Now, with how different we've been so far, I'm interested to see what you think of my 5 spot pick, and that's the flex offenders.
Wow. Okay.
The flex offenders have 2 starters that are okay. The rest of their pitching staff, except for maybe Sid Colbert, is bad. I mean, Colin McKinney is going to get lit up. Delson Wilkins is, quite frankly, the worst pitcher, maybe ever. It's bad. Their lineup is strong. I mean, the top half of their lineup, they've got some good players, but I don't think they have the firepower that's necessary to combat how sorry their pitching staff is. The hitters, the flex offenders are going to be going up against are going to tee off on this pitching staff, and if they don't make some changes, they're going to be in trouble.
I just think that the not to go into where the flex offenders, because we'll get to where I place them.
Sure.
I think that they're fielding their players that play the field, but their bullpen is god awful.
Yep.
It's just true.
Yep.
It's sad. It really is. But their field players are some of the most solid. I mean, in the league, they have like very solid all around stats.
It's
just
true.
in general. And I think Gianni Strong is going to come out this year and really surprise some people.
Gianni Strong is poised for a breakout season.
I think Gianni Strong is going to be gunning people down with a 92 arm in center field, and I think he's going to be yamming home runs.
He's a good player.
And that's why I think that this team is going to be going places, but we'll get to that.
I see. Yeah. I mean, I see where you're coming from. You clearly value power and you value defense. And I think that's not wrong of you, but I'm not sure that it's going to be I'm not sure if those traits are going to offset the lack of pitching. Like, you can have great fielders, but if you're getting teed off for 8 home runs a game, you're not winning.
Yep. It's gonna be tough to win. I could definitely see that. All right, so on to my number 4 pick.
Yes, please.
I've got Deadliest Catch.
Okay.
And this is just because, I mean, you just said it. They're lacking power in the bat. They've got Botch Deep, and they've got Homer McNee, and those are 2 players that those guys are gonna have a season. Botch Deep, I'm telling you right now, Botch Deep's gonna go ham this season. It's gonna be crazy. You're gonna want to watch him. Their bullpen is pretty solid. It's definitely going to get them some wins.
Yeah.
It's nothing special, but their closers are good. I mean, their closer is good. Their relievers are good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they're a pretty solid. Again, strong division.
Yeah.
I think they're a solid number 4 team. They're lacking power in the bat. It's really up to Botch Deep, Homer McNee, and a little bit of Blunder Burglar. Or Bulger, sorry. Apologies to him.
Apologies to Blunder.
Yeah, to really make some magic happen, get some runs scored.
Yeah, I think it's fair to add the caveat to pretty much every criticism we say of these teams is that this is probably the toughest division in the league, and any one of these teams could make waves in any other division. But the fact of the matter is there's 6 teams and only 2 playoff spots.
Yep.
In the 4th spot for me, you've already talked about this team. I've got the Monarchy. I have them a little higher than you do. I mean, they've got a strong pitching staff, I believe, and that's valuable in a division with great hitters.
Yeah, they got a few 99s in there. That's you don't want to play around with that. That's a scary stat. They're locked in. That's a tough day.
Yeah, you could be the best here in the league, but a 105 fastball comes at you. What are you doing? You know?
Yeah,
you're just guessing.
You can be Iver Musto, and you might still miss.
It's true. Where the Monarchy really falter is their lack of elite players. They've got Iver Musto, they've got Shepard Wong on the mound, and that's about it. I think they don't have the power and they don't have the overall talent to really compete in this division, but their pitching is going to keep them competitive and keep them in the mix, and that's why I've got them at the 4th spot.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're paying Oakley Shaftesbury to be their reliever, because I know he's probably asking a lot.
It's true. He's
to only throw about maybe 12 or 13 innings this year, so they're really gonna have to evaluate how they're spending their money.
True. But you got a guy like Oakley Shaftesbury, you feel good about it. But if you save $15 million and bring in a nobody and they start giving up runs, you're gonna wish you had a guy like Oakley.
Yeah, but it might be worth it for them to get something in the lineup that can get them on some runs scored.
I mean, it's true. They've got a lot of holes that they need to plug. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the surplus this year.
Yeah, I'm curious. That's an interesting team for sure. I've got them at 6, but like I said, strong division.
Yep.
Keep saying it. This is a division that anybody could win.
Yeah, and moving right along here, there's a team you just talked about. I have them at the 3 spot, and that's the Deadliest Catch.
Yeah.
For a lot of the reasons you did, they've got a strong bullpen, and they've got 3 really good players at the top of their lineup. I think compared to the rest of the teams in this division, there's not really enough talent to go around to sneak them into the playoffs, but this is a team with a decent core and some pieces to build around that they could make some moves in free agency and make that last push. But right now, got them at 3.
Absolutely. Yeah, you heard what I've said about Deadliest Catch. I mean, they're a good team. They could be, they could go anywhere if things go right for them. And now sitting at my number 3, is actually your number 6 team, the Shinobi.
Interesting.
And I'm really valuing their consistency here. Obviously, they're a little lacking on defense, which I usually frown upon, but they're averaging above 50. So, it's forgivable. And their arms are averaging a little bit above 50 as well, I would say. And where their arms are low, they're in positions that
First and
aren't
second
really
base.
yeah, they aren't that important. So things are looking okay there. And on the bases, they're a little scary. They're fast.
This is a quick team.
They have really solid contact and power. I mean, for the most part, throughout their whole team, they're hitting the ball. And their bullpen, it's not the most impressive thing in the world, but they have some pitchers that can pitch fast and a couple guys that can throw some junk. They've got a closer who's not the best, but he's gonna get them some. He's gonna get them some saves, get them some wins, and I think that they're gonna sit. This is a consistent team, and that's why I have them sitting at third.
I mean, I get where you're coming from. These guys they got good bats, and wheels on the base pads are gonna cause some problems. If they can consistently get to their closer Corbin Leal and avoid Fowler Brown and Heath Jeterson, the relievers, as much as possible, they could be in a good spot. I agree they're consistent, but I just don't know if they have what it takes to win the tight games and have those moments, have those little moments that put you over the top and separate the good from the great. And I think the Shinobi are just the good.
Yeah, that's why I have them at third. I think that they're not getting into the playoffs, but they are a team that's going to be gatekeeping the other teams that have a lot of spots that are missing, like we've talked about. Even on the Deadliest Catch, they have some spots that that need to be filled in. And whereas this team is kind of like it's a wall. It's not the thickest of wall, but it's a wall.
Yeah,
it's a good team.
I can see that. With the schedule in this league, you don't only play teams in your division. You're going to be playing pretty much everybody. So the Shinobi could kind of act like a playoff heat check. Like if you're coming in from a different division and you can't hang with the Shinobi, you're going to be out of luck.
Yep. Yeah, no question.
The Shinobi just they get the job done day in, day out. I just think they lack that second gear that you need to get to.
Yeah, and they're in a tough division, like we've talked about. They could be beating people in other divisions and still get sixth this division.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely could happen. All right, moving on to number 2, Matt. What's your number 2 pick here?
My number 2, I've got the Space Cowboys at number 2.
Okay.
So, not asking the bullpen to do too much here is going to be really important. Their closer's great. They got a really good closer. Their bullpen's probably below average. There's a few arms in there that you really just don't want to trust. But if the stars of the Space Cowboys can do their jobs, then the lineup should reward them. I think they should squeeze into the top 2, but the Deadliest Catch are right there. This is not by any means a big gap, in my opinion. And for you, it's probably the same with the Shinobi for your second place team. This is going to be a close division.
Yeah, I think that let's talk about my number 2 pick first.
Yeah,
before I
please.
get into the Space Cowboys. I have the Flex Offenders sitting at number 2. So
Interesting.
we had
vastly different.
We had some vastly different stuff here. But I mean, this is a volatile division. So
yeah,
I think the Flex Offenders they're just consistent. They're just the Shinobi, but a little bit better on defense. Pretty much just as good on the plate, and pretty much just as good in the bullpen. Maybe a little bit worse because their starters aren't as good, and their closer's not as good. So they don't have a closer. But I mean, on the field, they're just the better Shinobi. So I think that this is going to be a solid team that's going to be tough to beat. Again, it's going to be tough if they're giving up a lot of runs. If their starters aren't pitching well, then this is going to be a tough division for them.
Yeah.
But I think Gianni Strong is just that good. I think Gianni Strong is going to be carrying this team. This is a team of overall. This team has studs on it, just in general, and they're gonna be getting some dubs.
If you think about it, our assessment of the Flex Offenders and Shinobi were essentially the same. I have the Flex Offenders basically as the Shinobi, but with those difference makers, Gianni Strong and Les Hill, for the Flex Offenders, where the Shinobi really don't have that kind of thing.
Right.
I just put them at the bottom, and you put them more towards the top.
Yeah, I just value the consistency that they have on the field. Their fielding, their bullpen isn't the greatest, but their players that are on the field are good, and they're good at the plate. And they have, and on this team they have strong arms. I mean, they're gunning you out with this team on center field too. I mean, there's some important spots that have good arms. So
yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I think most teams in this league are gonna have good hitters, and when I see a lineup with good bats, I'm not necessarily as impressed as I am when I see a team with good pitchers. And when I see a team with bad pitchers, I'm inherently worried that they're not going to be able to hang.
Right.
And I think you value that power and that defense a lot, and I value pitching, I think, in this league a little bit more, because the ability to minimize the impact of so many strong hitters on every team. If your pitcher's dealing, you're having a good day.
Right. I just think that people are hitting you regardless in this league.
Yeah, that's our big difference here.
At a certain point, I think that the starting pitchers are getting hit regardless.
Yeah, they can only hold out for so long.
Yeah, I think that this consistency in this lineup. Again, I prefer a volatile, 4 or 5 superstar lineup over this consistent most of the time. But these guys are just really good. I mean, especially at the plate and on the field, and they're just good. They're just good on the field.
It's a good team. All right, we have just the one spot left. Would you like to do the honors, or shall I?
I'll start with the Space Cowboys, because we were just talking about them as your number 2. The Space Cowboys, I mean, they're just good in the bullpen. They have a closer who kills the game. They got Mariano Rivera as their closer. I mean, he's an old man, but he's definitely hitting it.
He's been doing it a long time.
And their lineup is just good. They have power on the bats. They're hitting the ball, no question. Really no faults on the defensive side, except for their arm, but it's in a lot of positions that don't matter again. Second base, first base, shortstop. The worst one's center field and left field. But left field, I mean, you're throwing to second and third. It's not that far of a throw. So I think that this team's pretty good. And they have arm where it matters at catcher. So
yeah, I think the impact of a strong arm at catcher is really going to be felt with these teams trying to steal bases. Like, if you're getting gunned down and losing those base runners often, that's a big win for your pitchers who maybe are struggling to keep guys off the base paths.
Yeah, yep, exactly. And there's some, we already know that there's some fast players in this division specifically, and in this league in general. So
it's true.
There's a few speedsters for sure, and this is a bullpen that's just gonna win you games.
Yeah, Tex Trevino, it's game over.
Yep, and the 4 starters, even their worst starter,
she's fine.
She's still fine. Yeah, this is, I think, a team that can win this division again with consistency, and I valued that a lot in this division specifically, just because there were so many teams that had consistent lineups.
Yeah, you're gonna have to perform against every team in this division. You can't have an off day.
Yep, exactly. That's why even teams like Orion that have winners and have a killer lineup or killer bullpen was still I'm just not sure they're gonna get past all of these hitters all the time. So let's hear your number 1. Let's hear about Orion.
I was wondering if you were mentally tracking who I had at number 1. We were pretty on point with the Space Cowboys and Deadliest Catch, our assessments of them, I think. The rest of this division, no shot, and Orion is no different. I think Orion is a great team. Yeah. And you disagreed, and that's fine. But this team, I think, is an ace away. You can find a pitcher who can contribute to replace maybe Red James. Their starting lineup's not bad. Their lineup is good. Their pitchers are good. Their bullpen is fine. If you get that ace, I think you've got an incredibly good rotation, and I think you've got killers in the lineup that are going to win you a lot of games. They don't have a ton of consistent power, but I think they have enough power. They have enough contact. Their fielding is good. They got some speed on the base paths. I think this is just an all-around really good team.
Yeah, I think that they suffer on the field slightly in favor of the bullpen, and that bullpen is dangerous. I mean, it's definitely back heavy. I mean, you're looking at your relievers as really your killers on that bullpen.
Yeah, Reagan Jackson and Lighton Deputy are they're going to be eating innings, and
Yeah.
if I agree, if batters can get to those guys, and you seem to be of the opinion that batters will get to pitchers no matter how good they are, then the rest of that bullpen's not nearly as scary. But
Yeah.
those are good players.
Yeah. They really are. I mean, it's gonna be scary because you're gonna even if when you're battling to get through those starting pitchers, and then you get Light and Deputy on the mound after.
Yeah,
You're gonna be like, fuck, this is gonna be tough. This is gonna be a tough win.
5 innings of grinding it out against Nino Keller, and then Light and Deputy takes the mound. You got to do it all over again.
That's rough.
It's rough.
And they're not terrible on the plate. I mean, they got a couple guys who are hitting the ball far. Not a whole lot of just those 2 home run hitters really, on Mario Burr and Dave Stone. But most of those other guys, they're getting on base with some decent speed. Especially their 2 all-stars up the top there, Angel Fuller and Brody Triflick.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not terrible. They're definitely not terrible on the field for their bullpen stats as well. And they didn't sacrifice much really. This is a tough division, like I said.
It's hard. I will say, I think 66 power on Angel Fuller and Brody Triflick, I think it's enough to put a little pop in the bat and hit some home runs. One thing though is their contributors are getting old.
Yeah.
Specifically their top 2 players, and if they can't replace that production in the coming seasons, they could fall out of favor quickly. I think they need to make some moves to win this division now.
Even some of their bullpens getting old. I mean, pitching at 33, 29. This league could be any, especially with pitchers in this league, could be any day.
Yeah. And the personalities of the players in this league. We've seen it from experience. They get on an age a little bit. They want an upgrade in their salary. They want to move to a winner. These guys are individualistic winners. They want to go out there, they want to make their money, and they want to raise that trophy.
Yeah.
And if you can't retain your team, you got to be smart with your money.
Yep. This is definitely a dangerous team.
For sure.
All right. Let me give you the players you want to avoid.
Please, absolutely.
For this section. So starting at my number 6 on the Monarchy, Dina Hogwash. I mean, just don't even get on the plate. You might as well be a baby swinging the bat at the plate, and with 3 power, and you're just useless to the team. I mean, you're bunting. You got 79 speed, and she's got some traits that could help that, but still with 3 power, it's gonna be really tough.
If Dina Hogwash hits multiple home runs this year, more than one, no fluke home run, I'm talking 2 home runs, I'll give you $10. Wow.
Yeah. All right, I'll take that. Absolutely.
It's not happening.
Yeah. All right. Orion at number 5 for me, which I mean we won't get into that. I've got Anakin Ali as their worst player.
Cool name though.
Just a liability in the field. I mean, they don't have a whole lot of awful players like we talked about, but 40 fielding, 56 arm at third base, which is an important position to have high fielding in, because you're going to get a lot of balls hit to you.
Yeah, I mean,
we know that from experience.
He's
their force user, that's for sure.
He is their starting third baseman, which leads you to some issues, but the fact that he can play every position on the diamond and has that utility trait makes him a little more valuable, but 40 fielding is a little sus.
Yeah, and you're also scared with that whiffer trait because, Mojo's going to be dropping if he's striking out, and that fielding's any lower than 40, it's going to be even more dangerous. So
it's true.
You got to be careful with that guy. So Anakin Ali is my lookout on the Orion. Moving over to number 4 on the Deadliest Catch, we've got Magnus Oldman. Now, I said he really serves no purpose on the payroll because Homer McNee plays the same position a million times better.
That's true. Homer McKee's cracked.
And Magnus Oldman at 28 is really just a B player that could replace like Rex Peterson or something on another team and probably be happier. He's taking up his payroll slot on the Deadliest Catch that they could be facing their bullpen with.
Yeah,
or getting a better bat,
Yeah, for a guy who does not play every day, I am sure they are paying him too much money.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, moving on to number 3 for me on the Shinobi. We got Alan Herschel. He's just a no-arm
Alan.
outfielder.
Alan, no.
Or he's in a not a no-arm outfielder. He's a no-fielding first baseman.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no glove first baseman.
He read my wrong note. He's gonna be dropping balls for you. I mean, it's gonna be dangerous.
We've already talked about how bad that could be.
Yep, especially on first. We already know.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to number 2 on the flex offenders. We've got Clay Yellington. Now, for Clay Yellington, I wrote that he's got no arm. It's just raw. I wrote that. That's kind of rude. He's in right field. He's in right field, and he's got an arm of 40. Hitting a triple on him might be a little bit too easy.
True. Guy on second, you hit a shallow fly ball to Clay Yellington. He's going to third.
Yeah, there's no question. Or you hit a ball that you think's a double, suddenly it's a triple.
Yeah.
Because Clay Yellington picks up the ball. and I actually got another one on the flex offenders.
Wow.
At Ronj, or I said Ronj. Ron Wiggins. I put a J next to his name in my notes. He's just the slowest man in the league.
It's true.
I mean, he is a catcher, but man, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, he's walking to first base if he puts the ball in play.
Yeah, he's the slowest man who isn't a pitcher. So just be on the lookout for that. I mean, it's not a huge problem because he's got good stats.
It's true.
And he's a young guy, and he's playing catcher. Mm-hmm. But on the base path, he's gonna suck.
Yeah, he hits decent for a catcher, but that 5 speed on the base paths is not gonna feel great.
And over to the Space Cowboys, I've got Katie Duke, who is just a liability in the outfield at 33 fielding, at 39 arm, at 37 years of age.
Clearly, she might have had Tommy John once or twice in her career.
She's the weak link of the team for sure on the defensive side. Mm-hmm. Although she's got a bat and to make up for it and some speed, so it's not all downhill for her, but definitely someone to look out for when the Space Cowboys are making mistakes.
It's true. All right, we've got one division left, Andrew.
I'm so ready to get into this last division. They got some good teams on there. That last division, Fire division, was a strong one, but I'm curious to see what you think about the Water division.
I'm curious to see what you think about the Water division. Would you like me to kick it off with my 6th spot?
Yeah, please do, because this is an interesting division for sure as well. So let's see what you got.
I am curious because I want to see what you think about the infield flies. I've got them at my number 6 spot.
Okay. Let me hear why.
I have very little details. This team, in my mind, if I'm looking at the stat sheet, I'm looking at the numbers, and I just think to myself, this team sucks. They've got, I think, a bad lineup. They have no depth. Their pitching is awful. They are probably the worst team in the league. That's my opinion.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I mean, I can't say that they're high on my ratings. We'll get to them when I get to them.
Sure.
But I will say that they are defensively one of the better teams, but they have arms where it doesn't matter, is what I really noticed when I was looking over their stat sheet. Mm-hmm. I mean, having arms on positions where it's not important kind of isn't the greatest, and they've got a lot of older players. So this team's going to be changing out players very soon. So even the players that have good bats on their team and they have pretty decent contact, it's going to be gone soon. So they don't really have much to look forward to. And a bullpen that's not the worst in the league.
Mm-hmm. They do have a good closer.
Not the worst and one decent starter.
But
you
that's
don't want to see you do not want to see Chip Ball. And the 2 relievers, honestly, that long reliever / starter is pretty solid at Amaya Ferguson.
She's okay. I just think
Guadalupe Presidente, I wouldn't want to see him either, most likely. I mean, he's got some decent stats, so
I just think the surrounding players in that pitching staff, they're not going to get the job done. It's too many C's across the board.
I can absolutely see that.
Mm-hmm. All right, who do you got in the 6th spot?
My number 6 spot, I got the Sacktown Scrimps.
Wow.
And mostly just because their bullpen is, I mean, okay. I mean, it's definitely better than the infield flies, I would say. They're a little bit worse. They're a little bit below average on the batting side.
Okay.
Just in power wise, they're gonna get on base. They're not the fastest team in the world, so those bases aren't gonna lead to any steals, or they're not gonna. It's gonna be hard for them to advance runners.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're gonna hit themselves into a lot of double plays with low power and high contact.
Okay.
And on the field, I mean, they're definitely not that bad on the field, but they're not the greatest.
Yeah.
I could have misplaced them here at 6 because they look pretty consistent. I mean, their stats aren't they have no players that stand out as terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But right now I'm gonna have them at 6.
Wow, that is interesting. I've got them rated a lot higher than that.
Okay.
All right. Who do you got at the 5 spot?
My number 5 spot, I've got the Wardens.
All right, me too. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, they just not great on the plate, and it's not great on the field.
mm-hmm. I mean, their lineup's okay. They've got like Rock Shannon's good. The rest of their team's whatever. Their pitching is, I would say, almost as bad, if not just as bad as the infield flies, and I think that's going to be a problem for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think their pitcher is similar to the Sacktown Scrimps in a way.
Yeah, the weak pitching is really just going to cause issues in the water division, I think.
Yeah. I think that those 3 teams, these Sacktown Scrimps, the infield flies, who are my number 4, not the spoil, and the Wardens really felt like, for me, I just 6-5-4'd them because they felt like they were the weak half of this. They were the weak half of this division, in my opinion.
See. All right, so you've got the infield flies at 4. I actually have middle management at 4.
Okay.
So now this might seem crazy to you. I've been slobbering all over the pitchers all day today, and their pitching staff is nuts.
Yeah.
But their closer's trash. The rest of the relievers are no good, and their depth is non-existent. You get to the left fielder on this list. He's a starter and he's C+, and the rest of the bench is worse than him. That's not good.
Yeah, it's rough. They are good on the plate, I would say. I mean, they're rocking high 60s. They got a few players that, even their players with low power, have high contact.
Mm-hmm.
And on the field, they really have no big blunders.
Yeah.
So that's why I've got them sitting at my number 3 team. Now that we know my number 4 is infield flies, we can already move on.
Yeah.
Middle management's sitting at my number 3 for those reasons mostly. I think they're a more solid version of the teams on the bottom 3.
Right. Yeah. The bottom 3, in your eyes, they all have a lot of similar issues, and middle management has kind of put it together a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can totally see that. I think this team has a lot of room for improvement. It depends how much money they have to spend. If they can go out and maybe get a closer and maybe snag a new left fielder or some bench bats that aren't going to let them down, I think this team is poised to kind of continue their upwards trajectory, especially with how good their pitchers are.
And they have a lot of players that can take on a lot of traits. I mean, just in general.
Yeah, they're easily moldable.
Slots, a lot of moldable, a lot of young players. This is a good team and middle management. I mean, they probably got told from a young age that they were good managers, you know? Now they're stuck there. All right. Moving on to our number 2 pick.
No, I've got my number 3 team still.
Oh, your number 3 pick. Great. Let's hear it.
Yeah, my number 3, I have the Spectres.
Okay.
So the Spectres, I think that the lineup is good. It's better than the teams we've talked about so far. But their pitching, while it is also good, I don't think it's good enough for them to get into that top 2, those playoff spots. There's kind of an arms race going on in the water division with the bats. They got a lot of great hitters and not a lot of great pitchers. And the Spectres have a lot of good hitters. More than the other teams we've talked about so far.
They're going to be slamming hits on these big teams with bad pitchers.
Yeah.
No question.
And, I mean, compared to some of the other teams, their pitching, I think, firmly sits in the middle. And they're going to need to...
solid.
Yeah, they're going to need to perform to keep them in the hunt, and I think they have a chance, but I've got them at 3 right now.
Yeah, no. So I've got the Spectres at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they're sitting at a pretty solid position with those bats in this division specifically. Just in this league, their leadoff. I mean, not necessarily saying those three will hit leadoff, but their top 3 hitters are dangerous.
Yeah, they're monsters.
You're gonna have pitchers that are throwing strikeouts,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna be hard to strike those guys out. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're King Carroll or or who. I mean, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
And they have starters and relievers and a closer that can finish games. I mean, Sawyer Gallagher isn't clutch as a 32-year-old man at closer, but he can make it happen with those stats. So you got to be on the lookout for the Spectres. I think they're gonna be a dangerous team in this division.
Yeah. And yeah, I think we both agree the Spectres are a good team. Where we disagree, however, is my number 2 team, and that's the Sacktown Scrimps.
Yeah.
So
I feel like we've been one off because of the way I play Sacktown. I've been like one above you with every other pick.
yeah, I think other than that, we've been pretty much eye to eye.
Spot on, yeah.
And you've already talked about the Scrimps, so I'll go into a little bit of detail on why I'm so high on them. The core of this team is mostly in their prime. They've got a lot of good young players. They've got good young pitchers in their early to mid 20s. So this team, maybe on paper right now, isn't as good as a couple of the other teams in this division. But I think over this season, they're going to improve. And I think over the next couple of seasons, they're going to improve. If they can keep this core together, they're going to get a lot better. And I think they have the upwards trajectory to carry this lineup and these good pitchers into the playoffs. I think that's kind of the path I have them on, in my opinion.
Yeah, they have some ball players with some good traits. I mean, just some decent stats all around, which is normal for this water division from what we're seeing.
Yep.
That's why I really had them at that 4, 5, 6, the bottom half of this division. I mean, is really a fight, in my opinion. I think the Sacktown Scrimps are just lacking that wow factor. I mean, their bullpen is solid. They've got some killers. They've got 3 big killers in there for the most part. And that's probably one more than most of the teams in this division.
Yeah.
So when you're playing them, it's gonna be tough to get through their bullpen. But again, they're a little bit underwhelming on the plate compared to some of these other teams. Just a little bit, and on the field a little bit more inconsistent. So that's why I have them kind of on that bottom half. But again, I think that bottom half is really it's up for contention. So we'll see where they end up.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. They definitely have room for improvement. I just think they will. And that's why I've got them at 2.
Yeah, okay. And then at number 1, we're agreeing then at number 1.
Absolutely. It's not even close.
Yeah, those guys are crazy.
Yeah,
Norsemen are insane.
This team is elite. I think this might be the best team in the league. Yeah, I don't know about you.
The only problem is Don Clay on the hot corner with a 9 fielding. They're going to be losing some big games because of Don Clay.
Yeah, the Norsemen, this is an elite team. They've got ballers. You look anywhere in the field, you look in the bullpen, you look on the starting pitching, they've got ballers. They're everywhere.
Yeah, these guys are ball players. There's no question about it. These guys are hitting piss missiles. These guys are throwing the ball. These guys are fucking striking people out. These guys are crazy. There's just no question.
Here, my assessment is that they could improve a little bit of their depth, and also Don Clay could learn how to use a baseball glove.
Yeah.
But their day in, day out starters 1 through 4 are too good not to take this division, and this team is what the Scrimps wish they could be.
Yep, agreed. This
team is good. This is a great team.
Yeah, this team is like the Spectres, but better.
They're like every team but better, I think.
Yeah, that team is incredible. This team is incredible.
Yeah, all right, there's not much left to say about that.
I'll go through the worst players of the water division.
Oh, absolutely.
Very briefly, and then we'll wrap things up.
Yeah, we'll hand out some awards. All right.
Oh yes.
Let's do it.
Sacktown Scrimps. Looking at the 16 for me, we got Thomas Horn for their worst player. Obviously he's a bench player, so I mean I have a backup here as well. I kind of picked one who's it's easy to pick on a bench player guy.
It really is.
I mean he's one of their only shortstops. He's the only primary position shortstop, so
Mhm.
I just had to pick on him because he might be starting.
If
And
it,
if he's starting in that important role at shortstop and he's this bad, that's gonna be pretty tough for that team.
I didn't think about that. If we get opening day and Thomas Horn is the starting shortstop, the Sacktown Scrimps are shooting down to like 5th.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a big problem because are they gonna really put Piper Baloney
At short?
At short,
But
right?
then who
Who's
plays
playing
third? Michaela
Like-
Dastardly. Then who plays first?
Fisher Brennan.
It's a
They got-
mess.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's a tough. That was part of the reason that the Sacktown Scrimps were so low for me.
Wow, I needed to
on
take
their
a closer
initial-
look. I misinterpreted, I think.
And
Wow.
I've also got in case that wasn't something that we wanted to think about. I've got Noodles Eaton, just as a pitcher who's going to be walking a lot of people. He's mediocre. He
However-
might actually field the ball, unlike most pitchers in the league.
It's true.
But he is kind of old.
I will say, Noodles Eaton is a sick name.
It is great. Noodles Eaton is a fantastic name. I'm very impressed by that. Alrighty.
All right, who's next?
And moving on to the Wardens. My number 5 pick.
Mm-hmm.
And the player there that we're going to be picking out is Tony Hope and Vertibal Bale.
Damn,
Now
you're
we're
shitting
gonna
on this
pick out-
division.
Now Vertibal Bale, he got 0 fielding at catcher, and you're like, what's the big deal? You know, he might be dropping some pitches. He
Yeah.
might be dropping some important throws home. That's definitely a big deal. And I picked Tony Hope and Vertibal Bale because he's a back-to-back catcher.
Yikes.
It's just some small problems at catcher. Tony Hope isn't the worst player, but he's going to be out occasionally.
Yeah.
That's mostly why I put that. 'Cause
Catchers.
You're going to have Vertibal Bale in the game.
Yeah, he's going
and
to be
he's gonna
playing
have-
every 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, and he's going to have 0 fielding, and it's going to be rough for your team.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
And moving on to the number 4, the infield flies.
Mm-hmm.
So for the infield flies, I had Bailey Nicholson
Sure.
as their weakest player. She just might as well bunt. She's not going to hit the ball when she's swinging. So she got 93 speed, so it's not necessarily a bad thing
Mm-hmm.
for her to be bunting.
She
But-
could, if it comes in bottom half of the zone, she could rope one, but that contact, she's looking lost at the plate most of the time.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough.
Pitchers who read the scouting report will know to throw the high fastball there.
Yep, that one's self-explanatory, I feel like. And moving on to middle management.
Mm-hmm.
Now, middle management, I've just said they've got a weak bottom 3 of their lineup for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
That's mostly just what I said. They just got a weak bottom 3 of their lineup. They don't have the deepest on the field players. Really no
Sure.
one to pick out in particular there. Just weak. Just be on the lookout for that.
One thing I will add about middle management before we continue is their 4th best player, Kyson Cortez, is their backup first baseman. That's a little questionable. They could use that money a lot better, especially with how bad the bottom of their lineup is.
Yep. Unless you're gonna have Pants Weeks playing left field over Cedar Chen, but
It's true.
Pants Weeks is a good name as well.
It is.
All right, moving on from middle management over to the Specters.
Mm-hmm.
And on the Specters, you got Bean Campos. And you're saying Bean Campos, what the hell are you saying? This
I
man,
already see it.
he's got 7 fielding in left field.
We know Andrew likes the glove.
This man does not know how to use his glove. Does he even play baseball? What sport was he playing before this? What league was he in? Beans Campos is some man they found off the street who just happens to be able to swing a big club.
Yeah, he can mash.
So be on the lookout for him to be missing balls in left field.
Yep. You pick him up for the offense, but his defense really lets you down.
Yeah, no question. And moving on to the Norsemen, I mean, we even have to say it. Don Clay is just
Don,
horrendous.
what are you doing over there, Don?
It doesn't even make up for it. Doesn't even make up for it like Beans Campos does. Just probably and in a more important position to have a glove.
Absolutely.
Just horrendous. And another one for the Norsemen, Hank Mastiff.
No,
Hank Mastiff, no arm.
Noodle arm center field? Dang.
Noodle arm in center. I don't care. They found a fucking Viking who can swing a club. This man can't throw the ball. That's a big deal in this league. People are fast.
Damn, Hank Mastiff of all players. He's going for the throat.
Hank's Mastiff's right arm is on my do not pick list.
All right. Andrew, thank you for being so positive with all of our players. We like to cultivate a really an environment of positivity around here, and I'm glad you
Of
kept
course.
everybody's spirits up. And
course.
we're gonna continue those. We're gonna continue that happy train by dishing out some award predictions. We've got 2 conferences here. We've got 4 awards for each conference. We've got an MVP, a pitcher of the year, a reliever of the year, and the young stud. That's going to be any player under 22 is eligible for that award. So we'll start with the super conference. That was the first 2 divisions we talked about. Would you like to lead off with the MVP?
Yeah, let me lead off with my MVP, and your jaw is gonna be on the floor when I say this, but
I'm ready.
I think Odin Beltran is gonna be the MVP of
Odin?
the
Okay.
super division.
Okay.
The best player on the Clowns. I
Mhm.
think that he's gonna be yamming home runs, and he's gonna be a important asset on the field as well. He's gonna not his run differential is gonna be great. He's not gonna be giving up anything
Definitely.
in comparison to him just scoring RBIs, no question.
Yeah.
And he's got some good players to back him up to get him there. So I think that he's going to come out, surprise some. They might not make it to the playoffs, but he's going to come out and surprise some people. And I think he's going to be MVP of his conference.
Yeah. I mean, I will say if the Clowns make it to the playoffs, Odin Beltran's going to be a big reason, and that's really going to help his case.
Yeah, no question. And he's a lefty.
Mm.
It's big. There could be something big there.
It's true. Now, I agree. He's definitely a candidate. I think my pick is a little safer. I think the Vegas odds on this selection are going to be a little closer to 0. But my pick from the Swarm is going to be B. Armhorn. Her bat is just too good.
Yeah.
I know she lacks that defense that you value so highly, and Odin Beltran is no slouch out in the outfield for the Clowns, but B. Armhorn's offense, I think, really makes up for it. Also a lefty. She does play left field, which is going to limit her defensive liabilities, but also is going to take away some highlight reel plays as opposed to her playing something like shortstop, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's going to be hard to be MVP.
But this is just one of the best players in the league, I think.
No
And I
question.
think she's got the MVP this year.
No question. We'll see how the stats look at the end of the year with that bad jump straight.
Mm-hmm. She might not be stealing any bases. She is
yeah,
still
we'll
quick,
see.
though.
Yeah, yeah, no question. With the 85 speed, you can still steal some bases with bad jump.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's a safe bet and a definite candidate for MVP.
For sure.
All right. On to
Pitcher-
pitcher of the year.
Pitcher of the year. Would you like to go first? Or shall I?
Yeah. I'll hit first.
All right.
Mine's gonna be coming from the Mandibles.
Okay.
A strong team,
Uh-huh.
and it's actually gonna be Thunder Spence.
Good pick. Good pick.
And he's just he's just a starter you can rely on. I mean, he's got good velocity, good junk, and good accuracy at a young age.
Yeah.
He's gonna be fielding the ball, which is huge.
It is huge. Those
At
slow rollers
73
up the middle.
He's gonna be fielding those, and that's actually giant. He's got room for traits. He's got room for improvement. I think that if his team hits him some traits this year, gets him some work,
Yeah.
he's an easy pitcher of the year candidate.
Yeah. Take a hit of that bro boom. Anything's possible.
He's different. He's got 890 velocity. Oh,
Ooh.
he's a scary. You don't want to see him.
Woo.
You don't want to see him for 6 innings.
Now, I agree. Definitely Thunder Spence is a great candidate. And that is a team with 2 good pitchers. And I am taking my prospective winner from a team with 2 good pitchers as well. And that's going to be the Nocturnals, Lawrence Reynolds.
Yeah.
Lawrence Reynolds, he can field a little bit. He's got great velocity. His junk is okay. But he only throws one like true breaking ball in his curveball, so it's not as big of a deal. His accuracy, though, at 89, he's going to be painting corners, and at 23 years old, I think that's really valuable. And he's no slouch at the plate. He could make contact every once in a while.
Yeah, he can definitely hit the ball. He played in college. You can tell.
Oh yeah, he's a second baseman in college before he transitioned to the pitcher's mound. And he's going to lay down a bunt, might pick up some RBIs, but I think that high accuracy combined with the velocity on those fastballs that he throws are really going to push him over the edge for pitcher of the year here.
Yeah, he's a scary pitcher with even without a whole lot of pitches, he's pretty scary.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got reliever of the year. This award is reserved for long relievers, and closers. And I'll go ahead if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind. Absolutely.
I will take my reliever of the year from the team that you chose your pitcher of the year, which really makes the Mandibles look scary.
Yeah.
And that's going to be Brian Parrish.
And not to ruin the surprise.
Uh-huh.
But Brian Parrish,
he's the guy.
So dominating that I had to choose him as well.
A consensus.
The Mandibles have the bullpen of the year for me.
Yeah,
they are insane.
They're gonna be putting guys away with a 4-seamer that's touching like 104, and he's got movement, and he's throwing strikes. Brian Parrish is gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Whew. Brian Parrish.
Yeah. You don't want to see Brian Parrish.
No.
No, absolutely not. It's your team's funeral.
I mean, you show up opening day. The Mandibles are coming out to the field. Thunder Spence is on the mound. He throws 7 scoreless. Then Brian Parrish comes in. You're dejected.
Oh man, that's gonna be tough.
A batter on the enemy team is not feeling good that day.
Yeah. Wow. Almost forgot how strong the air division was.
Whew. All right. Your young stud, 22 years or younger. Who do you got?
I think that this is a no-brainer here.
Really? Interesting. Let's see.
If you're caught up with the league, you might be saying, doesn't this go against your values? But he's a young stud, okay? So hear me out. Hoots Barnstorm of the Seamen. Okay? Now, you're looking at him on the plate. He's playing, first of all, some of the most, star-studded positions in the game, second base and shortstop.
Yeah.
At the plate, he's just yamming on pitchers. He's just reading their minds. And in the field, he's room to improve, but definitely not terrible in any area, whereas you're gonna not put him somewhere.
For sure.
He could definitely improve in most spots, but he's got a trait that is so good. Contact versus right-handed pitchers, he's going to be just destroying it on the plate. And I think that where he's lacking in the field and arm won't be super important at second base. As long as he's knocking the ball down, he'll be able to get up and make a play on it.
Yeah. I think Hoots Barnstormer is a safe pick. Much how I chose B. Armhorn, who I think is the clear first candidate. I think Hoots Barnstormer is the clear first candidate here. But I went a little crazy with this one.
Okay.
Hailing from the ballpark Franks at first base, I went with Frank Franco.
Frank Franco on first base, huh?
Frank Franco, he plays first. His glove's fine. It's not great, but he doesn't have to be thinking about, improving his defense day in, day out. All he's thinking about is dingers. I think he comes out hot, leads the league in home runs this year, and takes the Young Stud Award.
I think I could see that happening. I could absolutely see that happening.
Uh-huh.
There's going to be days where he's going to have to sub in for catcher. Looking at this lineup with Titan Davison and Janiyah Sawhorse.
Yeah.
I mean, those two players aren't the greatest. There might be days where Frank Franco's catching a catcher with his 83 arm and gunning people down.
It's true.
I could definitely see him moving up in the ratings if that's happening.
Yeah, Frank Franco, he's gonna be focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's absolutely mashing. And I'm ready for it.
Yep, no questions asked there.
All right. Last thing we're doing, the mega conference. We've got the last 4 awards, and then we are all set. This is the water and the fire division. Who's your MVP? Tell me.
My MVP for the mega division is going to be a man from the Flex Offenders.
Really?
You know him well, I'm sure.
Oh.
He's got the stats that I like.
Oh yeah.
And he's a threat at the plate, and his name is Gianni Strong.
Oh yeah.
Sitting at center field at the age of 20, I've got Gianni Strong getting MVP. And I've got a separate player for the Young Star Awards, so don't even worry about that.
Gotcha.
Don't worry about that. I think that Gianni Strong is going to have a season so good that he's just going to be the flat-out MVP. Forget the Young Stud Award.
He doesn't need it.
I think that this guy is just an all-around player.
He's a stud.
Sitting at center field, being able to play first base, being able to play right and left field. This kid's he's gonna be crazy.
Hits from both sides of the plate, plays all three outfield
Yeah.
positions, covers first, hits
And
for
he's
power,
only
hits for
20 years
contact.
old. He's gonna be. He's gonna have a. He's just happy to be in the league. I had a talk with him earlier this year. He's gonna be. He's gonna be absolutely killing it.
Oh man, what a pick! I gotta say, you're bold for picking such a young guy for the MVP. I think it's certainly possible he does get both.
Yeah.
I respect you picking a different player for the young stud, but if he puts up a season like we're expecting, he could win both awards.
Yeah. I mean, it's very possible.
Absolutely. My MVP, I think I went with the safe pick again. And we talked about it a little bit earlier. You can probably guess who it's going to be. I'm going Hank Mastiff of the Norsemen.
Yeah.
The man,
Mastiff.
he does what Gianni Strong does, but I think aside from his arm, which could be better, he does everything else better. Gianni Strong, I'm sure, looks up to him, even though they're only 6 years apart.
Yeah.
Hank Mastiff is the model ball player.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to agree. Hank Mastiff is a solid choice. He's just going to be, he's on a good team with players that back him up. He's going to be hitting RBIs because he knows he's going to have players on base.
Yep.
He's going to be a strong candidate for MVP.
For sure.
He might not be throwing people out. He might not be hitting highlight reels, but his stats are gonna look great.
Yeah, unless things go horribly wrong for Hank Mastiff, he's getting votes this year.
No question.
All right. Pitcher of the Year is our next award. Would you like to do the honors?
Yeah, my pitcher of the year is a player from the Wardens.
Oh, okay.
Actually, a starting pitcher, relieving pitcher. So he's a kind of versatile player.
Yeah.
And that's DeAndre Brooks.
Good
And,
pick.
I think that he's on a team that really needs him. First of all, I mean, he's in a clutch position, being able to come in games when they need him. They have an interesting lineup as well with 5 potential starting pitchers. And he's just a good player with 91 velocity, jump to get it across the plate, a slider and a changeup with two fastballs that would come in really quick on you. I think that
definitely.
he's just a solid choice with the glove that isn't too terrible, and he might hit a double or two on the plate.
Yeah,
with 43 power.
If he accidentally swings and hits one to the gap, he's going for 3.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, this guy's got potential to be pitcher of the year this year, and I think that you'll see him there at the end of the season.
I like the storylines that you're kind of setting up here in the preseason. You did the same thing with Odin Beltran, where these aren't necessarily the locked-in, guaranteed winners of the awards, but if they have the years that their teams need them to have, they're going to be right in the thick of it.
Oh yeah, no question.
Absolutely. I played it a little safer. I'm not going so nuts, but I did pick probably not the best pitcher in the league, but I think she's going to have a good year, and that's Laurel Campos of the Sacktown Scrimps.
Okay.
This might actually be a little along the lines of what you were talking about too. I think Laurel Campos is going to need to have a great year for the Scrimps to compete. And with that 91 velocity and 84 accuracy, she's got 5 pitches in her arsenal. She's going to be keeping batters on their toes. She's a lefty, and frankly, she's a good pitcher. She's good. She may not be the best, but I think she has the potential to be the best, or at least have the best season this year.
She has the potential to win her team games and make herself look like the MVP or the best pitcher of the year.
Absolutely.
Say. Yeah, she's very impressive. Good choice. No questions.
I'll keep the train rolling with reliever of the year.
All right, let me hear it.
And this one, to me, is a no-brainer. It's the team with probably the best pitching staff in the conference, and that's, again, the Norsemen. They've got great players across the board, and they have probably the best closer in the league at only 22 years old. That's Emerson Donovan.
Yeah.
Only throws a fastball and a curveball, but those peripherals are insane. And when Emerson Donovan comes in, if they got the lead, it's game over.
Yeah, it's just he does his job incredibly well. I mean, he's going to be closing out 1-2 innings in 3 or 4 pitches.
Yeah, batters are just actually looking silly. They're desperate for a run. They're swinging at everything, popping up, grounding out, nothing.
Yeah, it's going to be embarrassing for players going against Emerson Donovan. He's just a killer.
And he's only going to get better.
And a strong candidate for reliever of the year.
Who do you got?
my choice might not be as obvious, and it might surprise you, but on Orion,
Okay.
team that I have placed pretty low,
Huh.
you've got Light and Deputy with
I
99 velocity and 89 junk at 23 years of age with 4 different pitches. And he's a pitcher that's going to come in and get you 3 or 4 big innings a game with a curveball and a changeup that are going to be absolutely filthy with 89 junk coming off a 4-seamer that's a 99 velocity. He's just going to be one of those scariest pitchers in the whole league.
Yeah. Now, I absolutely agree. Fireballers are a hot commodity in this league. Blowing it by the best hitters in the league is a valuable tool. And if you check the trash in my office, you'll see some notes with reliever of the year and Light and Deputy's name next to it. I was right there with you, but I changed my mind. Emerson Donovan's just too strong for me.
And this guy, Light and Deputy, I mean, he's no slouch on the mound. He's got reaction time. He's gonna be fielding the ball, which again can't be overstated.
Oh yeah.
It's a big deal. This guy, I think where he comes in big time for reliever of the year is just his ability to throw more innings than a closer. Mm-hmm. He's gonna come in for multiple innings. Where we have hitters in this league where you're gonna have to get through.
You gotta go through the whole lineup. Yeah. Everybody's dangerous.
Everybody's dangerous. So getting through 9 outs is huge.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
He's gonna get you through those outs, no questions asked.
For sure.
So that's why I've got him at my reliever of the year.
Yeah, if we got, I think it's safe to say Light and Deputy and Emerson Donovan are probably coming 1-2 unless something goes wrong.
Yes.
All right, last award, the young stud for the Mega Conference. Who do you got, Andrew? Please, I need to know. I'm on the edge of my seat.
My young stud.
Tell me.
On the Deadliest Catch.
Oh.
Is Bruce Fisher Jr.
Yes!
At catcher. And this kid's got a cannon. And he's going to be gunning. He's just a wall at the plate at 20 years of age.
Oh, yeah.
And it's hard to run into a catcher this experienced at this young in their career.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, he's bat and switch at the plate, so he's a little dangerous with 71 contact.
Yep.
Might not be hitting the ball hard, but he's going to be getting on base. And he's got speed to back it up as a catcher, which you don't see very often.
Very interesting skill set.
This guy is he's a ball player. You know, he's played some baseball before in his life.
Oh yeah.
He's got some bad knees from playing catcher, but it's it comes with the trade. So
it happens.
He's probably the best young player in this conference besides Gianni Strong.
You can
And he's going to be a huge asset to the Deadliest Catch. And I'm sure he's doing Bruce Fisher Sr., his dad, down there in the bullpen. I'm sure he's doing him proud. Playing catch this season.
You can feel the influence of his father on his gameplay. 20 years in the bigs for Bruce Fisher Sr. He's probably on his way out, but he gets one last year with his son in the bigs. He'll be throwing to him quite often. He'll be coming out of that bullpen, and I think Bruce Fisher Jr. is going to use that familial ties, that mental motivation to really have a big year.
No question. Deadliest Catch again in a division that's going to be tough to win. So I think that
they're going to need him.
Bruce Fisher Jr. is going to come out and have a big year for the year that he has with Bruce Fisher Sr. So
yep, Bruce Fisher Jr. and dear old dad.
Yep, it's going to be interesting.
Now, much the way you feel about Gianni Strong, I feel the same way about Harry Sackner.
Okay.
Of the Sacktown Scrimps, his arm isn't what you want to see, but he's got great speed. His glove is spectacular. So you might say, hey, he's not throwing anybody out at second. What I say is he's not allowing anyone to get to second. He covers the entire outfield. He's making web jam plays day in and day out. He's mashing at the plate, and I think he's carrying this Sacktown Scrimps team to heights they probably shouldn't really even be getting to.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. He is what's carrying the Sacktown Scrimps in any word or in any fashion.
For sure.
Laurel Campos, of course, can't count out the bullpen.
Of course.
But having a 40 arm in center field is going to hurt him compared to the young Gianni Strong, potentially also getting the Young Stud Award if we're throwing him in the mix, playing the same position as well.
Yeah.
Like we said, looking like a young Hank Mastiff. So
I can feel a rivalry brewing already, and we haven't
Yeah.
even started playing games.
yeah, I can see it. I can absolutely see it happening. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, keep an eye out. If both these teams make it to the playoffs, keep an eye out for the conference finals. It's gonna get heated.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, we've predicted every division. We've predicted who's winning the awards. We've covered it all, and I think we're ready to start playing games.
I can't wait to see the season kick off. I'm excited to see who places where, what happens. You know who to look out for, who did not pick. You know who's gonna win, who's gonna place where.
Yep.
And now all that's left to do is to watch it all happen.
Yep. Andrew,
I can't be more excited, Matt.
Andrew, I'm sure I will see you in the booth in plenty of these games. We got a lot of baseball to watch in the Super Mega League. I am excited. I am ready, and we will get the season started very soon. Thank you all for watching. If you have some picks for the awards, who your MVP is, your pitchers, your young studs, who do you think's winning the World Series this year? Drop it down in the comments below. Let me know. Let Andrew know that you think
Please.
the Sacktown Scrimps are goated and not at bottom of the division.
let me know what you think about Odin Beltran and how he's gonna hit 45 home runs this season. Leave it all down in the comments below.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for watching. We will see you next time on opening day. See ya.
Later.